This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon and happy Monday to all of you. This is going to be an amazing motivational Monday for each and every one of us. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Iris Denise Owens, the host of The Autopsy of Her, Healing, Evolving, Resiliency. And on the line with me is my beautiful sister and co-host. Good morning or good afternoon, honey bunny. How are you?
Good afternoon, honey bunny. Stephanie Deani Green.
Good to see you. All is well?
All is well. All is actually wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, today, guys, we have a special guest. Remember, we told you all that we were going to kick off our men's series. And so, of course, we never fail to deliver what we say we're going to do. So today we have Eric Slepian, who is attorney at law here in Atlanta. And I have had the pleasure of doing business with Eric. Eric actually also set up my LLC. And so I really am blessed to have him in my circle of people. And today, Eric is going to talk with us about resiliency. Oh, we're going to talk to Eric about resiliency, and then he's going to share with us. So, Eric.
Thank you, Iris. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. We are so happy to have you on today, and we're going to jump right in. And so just to give you a little backstory, the way Eric ended up here was back in, Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving, our November Fayette County Board membership meeting. Eric is our platinum, you're platinum, right?
Yes.
Yes, our platinum sponsor. And so Eric was there and we were talking and just, sharing with him, and he was sharing with me. And Eric had on this beautiful suit. And I said, oh my God, that is an awesome suit. But first I want to tell you, Eric is never not dressed to the nine. There, ta-da! Look, are you gonna show us your shoes?
Yeah, you want to see my shoes?
Yes. Eric is an amazing, he's an impeccable dresser. He is an impeccable dresser, but he is also a New Yorker, so I expect nothing less.
There you go.
Right? But Eric, I want you to talk a little bit about this suit that you had on, because that's how you got here.
Yeah, so the suit that I had on is called a signature suit. So when you look at it, it just looks like a normal pinstripe suit. Mm-hmm. But the stripes are words, and you could choose whatever you want to put on there.
Yes. So
I had a saying that I chose to put on there, which is, why blend in when you were born to stand out?
I
believe that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe
yes.
that too.
And listen, Eric,
and you know, Iris,
yes,
you were the only person at that meeting that I pointed that out to, because I knew you would get it.
Yeah. Right. It was destined for that to happen, because right. Eric is as Stephanie and I, we always talk about, Eric is a bold personality, right? When he walks in a room, he doesn't have to say anything, but he takes all the air out of the room in a very positive way. And so, Eric, I want you to just kind of just jump in where you'd like to share.
Okay.
How you got to where you are and why you're there.
Well, how I became an attorney is kind of an interesting story, because not too long ago, I came across my 6th grade yearbook. Mm-hmm. And in that yearbook, they asked things like, what was your favorite TV show? What was your favorite type of food? And what did you want to be when you grew up? Yes. And mine said attorney. And yes. I was given 2 choices by my mother. I could be a lawyer or I could be a doctor. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like the icky stuff. And I also didn't like doing math. So I became a lawyer so I wouldn't have to do math. But that's,
yes.
But the type of law that I wanted to practice was what I call happy law, mm-hmm. which is what I do now. So I do a lot of real estate. So I'm helping people buy houses. Like that's how you and I know each other.
Yes.
I do a lot of corporate and commercial work, setting up people's businesses for them. I do wills and estates, helping people plan for their future, all of that kind of thing. And when I first got out of law school, it was hard to find a job, actually. And I came down to Georgia. I was originally up in the Northeast. I was New York and New Jersey, went to school in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
My father is a doctor in Stone Mountain.
Okay.
So I came down, I visited him, and I liked it. And I found a firm here that I wanted to join, but they weren't hiring. So I offered to come work for free to show them what I could do. And they said, well, we can't really let you work for free, but we're going to pay you almost nothing. And I said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that first year, they paid me $15,000.
Okay.
And I billed $250,000 for the firm.
Wow.
So I went in at the end of that year, having blown through all of my savings just to live on.
Yes.
And I went to my boss and I said, you know, I think I need a raise. You know, I have no money left. I just a small raise. I want to go from like 15,000 to 25.
Yes.
And I billed 250 for the firm. And he said, well, you know, I was thinking now's a good time for you to go out on your own. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't quitting.
Yes.
I just wanted a raise.
Right.
And it turned out that attorney that I worked for, that's what he would do, is he would get young attorneys in and pay them nothing. And then when they asked for more money, he would toss them out the door and get another one. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
Because if he had not done that, I would not have started my firm. And now I've been practicing 30 years and 28 and a half of it has been in my own firm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've grown to now, we have 9 attorneys in the firm. We handle just about every type of law. Mm-hmm. And in fact, about a year ago, I took that attorney that I worked for, who's still here in town, out to lunch to thank him for kicking me out the door, because I would not have been as successful as I am now.
So Eric, when he said that, and I know your reaction, you said you went in to ask for a raise, and then he says no. So you were pretty much propelled into entrepreneurship. Oh,
I was scared to death. I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know where my first client's going to come from.
Right.
You know, as newly married, moved to Georgia, and what was I going to do?
Right.
But what you do is you then find out who you really are. Mm-hmm. You know, there's one of my favorite sayings, and I want to make sure I get it right, is that, what's that word? Basically, conflict does not create, or does not create character. Mm-hmm. It reveals it.
Absolutely.
So, I'm sorry I messed that one up, but that's the quote that I love so much, because it's so true. There is no way that I would have thought that I could be, you know, the managing partner in a firm with 9 attorneys back then. Right. It wouldn't have happened.
You also stated, though, at that same meeting that we were talking about, that you love Halloween. You celebrate Halloween because that is the day that you became licensed. Is that correct? That you passed the bar?
I did. Yeah. Right? 30 years ago this past Halloween.
Right. So when you passed the bar, or when you were in law school, you mentioned earlier that you did not like math, but tell us your experience with going to law school and real estate law.
Okay. So, right. So I thought I was going to go to law school and I was going to be a litigator. Mm-hmm. I was going to be in court. I was going to be arguing. I won some award for moot court.
Yes.
And if you would have told me that I would have been doing real estate and transactional, I would have said you're crazy. My 2 lowest grades in law school were real estate and contracts. And that's what I do all day, every day.
For 30 years.
For 30 years. But that is a great example, Iris, of
Yes.
I think when you're at that point in your life, when you are a young adult and you're in school, I don't think
Right.
you know who you truly are.
Correct.
I agree with
feel more comfortable in my skin now and have for the last 30 years than I ever felt at any point before that in my life.
And so, Eric, that's why I always say you're the epitome of resiliency, but also the epitome of evolving, because many people would have you had two things to overcome. I'm not going to call them challenges. You had some things to overcome. You're in law school, and the two courses that you, like you said, you ever received your lowest grade in were what you're exactly doing now today. But just imagine if you had said at that point, I don't like this, I can't do it, and you removed yourself from that situation where you were having that kind of, I guess, conflict with what was going on in your life. And then you graduate and you go to work for someone who then says, I'm not going to give you a raise. I'm going to release you to go do what it is that you really ought to be doing. Most people would, as you said, you were terrified. And most people is when people draw back and think, I got to go find a job.
Yeah.
I got to go find something to do because I need money. You had a wife, you had a young wife, you were newly married, you had responsibilities. And so this brings me back to when we are in this entrepreneur world, right? Because it takes resiliency to be an entrepreneur. So
absolutely.
What would you had shared if you had not become an attorney, but that was the thing that you knew you had already said, and your sixth grade graduation yearbook, you said you wanted to be an attorney. So is that what kept you on track all these years, or you just knew that that's what you were going to do and it didn't matter?
Well, I knew that that's what I was going to do and it didn't matter. I wanted to help people, truly. And I know you don't really think of attorneys in that way a lot, because like every profession, there are bad actors that give the entire profession a bad name sometimes. I've heard just about every lawyer joke you can imagine. In fact, you want to hear my favorite one?
Yes, please.
What's the difference between a dead attorney in the road and a dead snake?
Oh. I haven't heard that one.
Skid marks in front of the snake.
Oh my God. That's really bad.
No, and I was married to an attorney for 21 years. I haven't never heard that one.
Bless you. I don't know how you did it. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but actually, when you were saying that, Iris, I wanted to touch back on something else, which was when I first got the opportunity to do real estate.
Yes.
I had no choice because the firm I was in, the partner that did real estate was taking a vacation for 3 months, and I was thrown into it. And I had that same feeling that you were talking about, which is, how in the world am I going to do this?
Right.
Real estate and contracts were my worst grades in law school. I didn't like it.
Right.
I didn't think it was something that I wanted to do. But not only was that truly who I turned out to be, but had I backed off and not done it at that point,
yes,
and done some other type of law, because I would have been able to do that.
Yes.
There is no way I'm convinced that I would have the firm that I have right now.
Correct.
And I'll tell you why, because when real estate first started taking off for us, that was the primary focus of my practice. And what I quickly realized was that real estate is a great gate opener for other areas of the law. Typically, we're the first contact that people in the area have had with an attorney. They're moving into the area, they're buying a house.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, if they need something else, they need their will done, or they're setting up a business, or they have a problem with a contractor and have to file a lawsuit, or there's a dispute or something.
Right.
They would reach back out to me. And I realized very quickly that I was referring those cases out to other attorneys, which was okay. It wasn't that I wanted to make money on those things, but I wanted the clients taken care of. But we had spoiled them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that with any type of arrogance, or anything to do with my ego, but we have a policy in our firm that nobody in our firm leaves the office for the day without returning our calls or responding to our email.
Yes.
If we promise something, we 90% of the time get it done early, mm-hmm. if not on the day that we actually promise it. And the attorneys that I was referring our clients to just didn't practice like that. Mm-hmm. So I started getting feedback saying, what kind of attorney did you send me to? I've left 4 messages. They haven't called me back. They were supposed to do something for me 2 weeks ago. They haven't touched it. I don't know what's going on with my case. And it was starting to actually adversely affect our reputation because we had referred them.
Absolutely.
And so what we had to do to solve that problem, and this is where the resiliency comes in. I could just as easily have said, you know what, I'm just not going to refer people out anymore. I'll just sit here and do my little real estate closings. Mm-hmm. But I thought, what, those people need that service. So that's when we expanded our firm and started doing litigation and divorce and, civil litigation and criminal and all those things that the community needed because there was nobody else out there that we felt comfortable referring to. And had I not been in that position to realize that, there's no way that we would have the firm that we have right now.
Absolutely. So I did peek at your bio. I watched your video, and I'm glad that you talked about what the motto, the mission of your firm is. I think many times in life, individuals go into business. Of course, we're all in business to make money, but we forget that we are dealing with human beings sometimes because we get so caught up in this is about my profit line, my bottom line. Your bottom line should always be the people that you are serving. Because
that's absolutely true. I definitely believe that.
Because life is about service. You are a being and you are interacting with other human beings. There's no way you can continue to be successful by ignoring the fact that you're dealing with human beings and forget that the interactions between you and people are not just transactional. They're relational. Real estate is relational. Anything we do in life is relational. And so I love how you that you made that your mission or the motto of your agency to not, like you said, to promise, but to over deliver.
Right. Well, and if you think about it, your business is a lot like mine. Mm-hmm. When people are calling or emailing their attorney,
yes,
they're not just doing that because they want to talk about the weather. They need me. There's something that they need done or they need advice about. Same way with you. When people are calling their realtor, it's because there's a need that they have that only you can satisfy.
Right.
And I think you have to respect that and you have to be true to that, or you're just not going to be the person that you're supposed to be.
Correct.
And one of the best things that I'm most thankful for in the success that I've been fortunate enough to have is now that I'm where I am, I can help people that I would normally have had to charge or look at how am I going to pay the bills. Obviously I've got to do that.
Right.
I can now do that. Like, for example, I don't charge anybody in my office that comes into my office who's in their 90s. If you've made it to 90,
amen.
You need an attorney that is just going to do whatever you need done for you. So,
absolutely, Eric.
All right, so I do wills for people like that. If I have somebody that comes in that is sick, they have cancer or they're just going through a really difficult time, we don't charge that for people like that. And even with our attorneys, one of the things that we tell our attorneys when they come to work here is they don't have to take any case that they don't want to take. I don't want us to ever feel like we are on the wrong side of a case. No, we want to believe in what our clients need.
Right. Right.
And
Because
I
I
think
think
that's
the
for
only
sure.
way you can help someone is if you do believe them.
True.
You know,
And you're not just helping them,
Yeah.
but I'm helping them. We're
right,
talking about resiliency. I'm helping
right,
them to be resilient in
right.
getting up and getting past whatever is preventing them at that moment from doing so.
Right. Eric, you know what I like about you as an individual. And like I said, in reading your bio and reading, and I've seen you in action. So it's not just me reading. I've seen you in action. That your life's mission is also to give back. And it's important to do like what you were just talking about, how you don't charge someone if they're 90. You're like, I'm not charging you to do this service. I'm going to do it because I have the ability to do it for you and you need it. I do think that in times, again, we lose the whole concept of why we're here. And before we started the podcast today, we were talking about who we are and knowing who you are and how you live up to that. You know, Cummings has a saying, it's one of my favorite comments, is that it takes a lot of courage to grow up and be the person that you were intended to be.
Yes.
And I think so many times we lose that because we're chasing after things and we forget what's really important. And as you said, there are jokes about attorneys, right? Because a lot of us go through life saying, I don't like attorneys. I don't trust attorneys. Yeah, until you need an attorney. Then you're like, oh my God, do you know an attorney? Right? Then you're like, do you know an attorney? And so, but
I get all those calls.
right. But I'm not an attorney. I'm a realtor, but we don't have a great reputation either with the public. We're on the level of a used car salesman. So man, so I think it's so important that the person that you have, that you bring your character, your true character and true self to what you're doing in life. And so my question to you, and it's not even a question, it's just, do you believe that is what has also helped you to be as successful as you are and having grown from where you started to where you are today?
Absolutely. And I think that if people in general are not being true to who they are, deep down, their nature, you can't change your nature. You can learn to do a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. You can perform different tasks. But at the end of the day, I think you have to be honest with yourself as to who you are and what makes you happy and fulfilled. Because if you're not doing that, life is going to pass you by and you are never going to feel happy. And I think a lot, particularly in this day and age, a lot of people are confused about who they are because of how they want to be perceived. Especially with social media. I mean, it's crazy. People are forming opinions about you, whether you want them to or not.
Absolutely.
But we've all been in this situation where we have gone to somebody to provide a certain service for us. And you can tell if that person is doing what they're supposed to for their own nature, if they're happy at what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Or if they're miserable with what they're doing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and when you come across somebody who is happy and you can tell they're fulfilled in what they're doing, people want to gravitate towards that person. Mm-hmm. And that's the way you are with real estate. That's the way I try to be with law. Yes. I mean, there is nothing that I would rather be doing than what I am doing now. Right. And that means that because I feel comfortable in my skin. This is who I'm meant to be. This is what I want to do. And I'm helping people. And you the same way. Yes.
I believe that when you are doing what it is that you were created to do, and Steph knows this, we've had this conversation. The old adage is, what would you do in life if you didn't get paid for it? And when I started in this business and I was making no money, zero money, I remember one day waking up and going, well, hell, I'm doing it now.
Right. That's right.
I'm going to work every day. I'm getting in my car. I'm burning up time. I'm burning up gas. I'm going to see people. And I have not been paid one dime. And there is no guarantee that I'm going to get paid a dime. But yet, I love what I do.
Right.
I have done many different things in my life, but this is the one thing that I did not get paid. And I don't get paid to do it unless I have delivered a service.
Right.
And so for me, I equate service with, as you said, happiness and the building of one's character. Because if you didn't have it before, you certainly will be in a situation where you have to search yourself and figure out, is this where I'm supposed to be? And am I doing anyone else a service if I'm not happy doing this and I'm just doing it begrudgingly?
Well, have you ever met anyone who has gone through life without some sort of challenge or adversity? Everybody faces it.
Yes.
I don't care who you are. You know, what is telling in how your life is going to turn out is the way that you address it, the way that you attack those situations.
Right.
And I know it's cliche to say that when you have adversity like that, it's really just an opportunity to then improve yourself. But it really, I think it's maybe less that and more, it's an opportunity to learn more about yourself and who you truly are and who you should be to make yourself happy and fulfilled. And once you are, you're going to do the same thing, whether you intend to or not, for the people around you.
Right. Right.
I think that's where it comes down. I think everybody at some point has to take a look at themselves, their true selves in the mirror. I mean, strip away everything all the pretense and what you think you want to be or what you think you are. And you have to look at it and say, okay, what's going to make me happy? Who am I supposed to be?
Yes. Yes.
And then
that's what you want to get out of bed in the morning and be happy about it.
Right.
Exactly. And then you have to work hard at it because it's not easy. You know, until you get to, I don't think it's ever easy, but until you get to the point where you feel you wake up every day and you can't wait to go do the things that you do.
Yes.
And you are happy and you come home at night and you've had a great day. And those are my days these days.
Yes.
I think when you do that, then you realize, oh my God, I can't believe I spent all those years struggling to do something I wasn't meant to do. Yes.
And for me, that's my story. One of my best friends said to me, she said, you spent your whole life. She says, you're this square and you keep trying to fit into this round peg. And I kept saying, what? She says, yes, she says, you have this, you keep going for these career goals that you believe that's what you're supposed to do. And she says, the thing that really makes you happy, you keep avoiding it. And I kept thinking, what? But when you're going for the happy place in life, right? You realize, okay, I still got to figure out how I eat, right? So we then choose the road less traveled, we choose the road most traveled.
Most traveled, the easiest way.
Most traveled to be comfortable. Not understanding that at times in life, that level of comfort has to be disturbed so that you can become comfortable with who you are and what you're doing.
Who you really are. And one of the best things that can happen.
You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely.
I think one of the best things that can happen, even though it doesn't feel that way at the time, is for somebody to tell you that you can't do it.
Eric, that's it.
It is.
It is.
I know.
It is.
When I decided in college that I was going to be an English major, ask me what type of English major I was.
What type of English major were you, Eric?
I'm so glad you asked, Iris. My specialty was, you ready?
Yes.
Medieval romance.
Medieval romance. Okay.
That's interesting.
Not practical for anything in the entire
I didn't
world.
know that was a thing, but okay.
I know.
That King Arthur and all of that kind of stuff,
Cool.
chivalry.
Right.
So I remember like it was yesterday, my stepfather that I grew up with,
Yes.
when I proposed to my wife, and maybe he knew something I didn't know because we were since divorced, but that's a different story. Anyway,
That's another show, Eric. We'll bring you back.
When I told him I was going to be an English major, he told me that I would never amount to anything. What was I going to do with an English major, medieval romance? I'd never amount to anything. And then when I got engaged, he told my future in-laws, tell your daughter not to marry him. He's never going to amount to anything. He's never going to become an attorney. It's all, And
Wow. He's bold.
Meanwhile, and you talk about fuel for your fire. I mean, you just look at it and go, but that's what I'm supposed to be. You can say it all you want, but it's so hard in that moment when you start to doubt yourself. And that's where the resiliency comes in.
Absolutely.
When you start to doubt yourself, you have to at that moment look at who am I really, and who is this person to tell me, or who is this situation to determine whether I can do what I'm supposed to do or not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you know what?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just do it. Go. Don't be afraid. I think fear is a big factor, and
it's
not
not
even
real.
if you are afraid, do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We imagine fear. Fear is not real. You have to eliminate the fear so you can move forward into your, your desires and what you were created. We were all created for what we were supposed to do on this earth.
Yes.
And nobody ever really finds there, which is sad. Like you said earlier, Eric, most people are like miserable because they're not doing what they were created to do. Correct. And it's a sad state.
Right. And I think most people, when they're in that situation, are afraid of being embarrassed.
Mm-hmm. Or afraid
what other
people afraid of the failure. Yeah.
The failure.
The failure.
Being embarrassed, looking silly, not
right.
But if you don't try, you never will succeed.
No.
You can't climb the mountain without taking that first step.
No.
Yes.
It's like that book by John Maxwell, Failing Forward. Failing forward is
fail forward, yes.
Yes.
Yes. That was very important.
We talk about that all the time, about failing forward, because failing forward does build your resiliency, your level of resiliency. And really for does. a lot of individuals, failing means, it's over. And it's not over. Yeah. Failure
it's like next.
Right. You can't have
it's always next.
Right, because you can't always win. Winning is not reality in life. You can have a winning streak, and you could have more wins than you could have loss. But the two things must go together in order for the world to go, your world to be complete. And it's interesting to me, like you said in the beginning, Eric, about social media. So it's interesting to me as well that how people will put their whole entire life on social media. And then get mad when they are basically tried in the jury or in the courts of public opinion.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And then you get mad and you say, well, didn't anybody ask you anyway? Yes, you did. Because you put it out there, you left it there, you have your comments. And so if you don't want comments, then you have to turn comments off.
Comments off.
Yeah. Because even when you say to people, I really don't want your opinion, but obviously you were seeking something. You were seeking someone else to give you validation, and no one can do that for you. Because
that's right.
Nope.
The human nature, and it's sad to say, human nature is more so that if you say something to me that seems so foreign to me, my natural reaction is normally going to be, you know what? I don't see that happening. That doesn't make any sense. How do you plan on doing that? Oh my God. And we don't understand that where I am and where you are, we could be in the same space, shoulder to shoulder. But my level of confidence my level of resiliency, my mindset to evolve and to move forward and to be propelled into something I could have never imagined. We're so different in that. And sometimes people get caught shoulder to shoulder with people who cannot see, and they're not supposed to see your vision. But then we quickly will draw back or get mad at people and say, well, why would you say that? Because like you said, what does that do? It puts doubt, but doubt is needed because doubt. And when someone tells you like you said, you can't, please tell me I can't. Please tell me I can't, because then I'm mad. Now I'm mad.
And now I'm going to start running circles around you. Like, it's on. Not necessarily around you, around the situation. Whatever I want, I'm going to make that happen. I'm ready to go for it. It makes a difference.
So for me, it was the same thing of in high school, I was not a great student, but I knew I wanted to go to college. I went to Pace University in New York. And I remember getting there, and the counselor said, well, the first 3 months I decided I wasn't going to go to college. I was going to go to a business school. And then in those 3 months, realized this is not where I belong and where I needed to be. So I get to Pace, I get accepted, but I'm accepted as a non-matriculated student. And so the counselor says to me, you're going to be a non-matriculated student for probably, a year and a half, 2 years. Absolutely not. She said, yes, you will. I said, absolutely not. She said, I'm just telling you. I went to school on Saturdays. I went to school on Sunday. I went to school I worked full time. I was a full-time evening student. I matriculated in 6 months, if it wasn't sooner than that. And I was on the dean's list. All because she said, you will not. You can't do it.
But you know what? Yeah. But I guess the point is, since we're talking about resiliency,
yes,
is I would be willing to bet that you weren't always like that and didn't always react like that when you were younger.
No, I've always been this person.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm an only child.
Okay.
And my mother was I was free to express my opinion. Didn't mean it was going to change her ruling, but I was free to express my opinion. And so she taught me early in life. I remember going to school. I had a fight with a girl. Well, I didn't have a fight. A young lady, another student took my umbrella. And when I went to take my umbrella, she scratched me. Oh. I went home and my mom asked, where's your umbrella? And I told her, and she says, and why do you have a scratch? And I told her, so-and-so took my umbrella and she scratched me. And my mother said to me, she says, I'll tell you what, you're going to go back to school tomorrow and you're going to get that umbrella. And if you ever come home again with a scratch, I'm going to scratch you. At that point in my life, it was like, wait,
now, yeah, I got it.
Or mom, her or mom. So I knew at that point, speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself. And I have, in my lifetime, I've gotten into a lot of trouble for being the outspoken. But I realized that I couldn't let people stifle me or stop me from saying what was my truth. So I think
this is it. This is an example of what you were just talking about, where you and I can be in the same space,
right,
but not actually experiencing the same thing,
right?
Because I was the opposite of that. So when I was younger, not knowing, I think I had a feeling of who I was supposed to be and who I wanted to be, but I was terrified of everything. I did not want to be embarrassed. I did not want to be, when I told you my major was medieval romance.
Yes.
Well, there happened to be a club at Rutgers that was the Society for Creative Anachronism. I remember it now.
Okay.
And these were people in this club that would dress up in armor.
Oh, yes.
Fight with swords and do all this stuff. Everything that was up my alley from when I was a little kid until then. And they had a club fair where all the clubs were out there. And I'm watching these guys fighting armor. I'm going, that's the coolest thing in the world. I wish I could sign up for it.
Yes.
And the reason I couldn't was because I was too embarrassed to go over and sign the page and give my information. And
Really?
right. And then when I was in college, and actually my first year in law school, when I was looking for an internship with local firms, because that's what you want to do, put on your resume, I was so terrified of getting on the phone and making that call to try and get a job that, if you can imagine, Iris, I was sitting there, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yes.
I was sitting with the phone, because we had cord phones then.
Yes.
That's how old I am. So
no, we're all the same age. On the wall. Yes.
Okay, yeah, on the wall, right. I had the long cord because I used to walk when I was talking.
Yes.
And I had the phone in my hand and I had it hung up. And I was walking around like this, and I was practicing over and over again what I was going to say. Hi, I'm Eric Slepian. No, that doesn't sound good. Hi, I'm calling your firm because, and I was just like, and I practiced it for like 20 minutes before I'd make the call. I was terrified. Now, you know me for years now.
Yes.
Can you imagine me being afraid to talk to anybody?
No, I cannot.
Right. But I was, because I was so concerned about how I was going to be perceived. I was going to be embarrassed. What if they said something to me and a lot of people, because I see them when they come to talk to me about problems that they have,
yes,
they're stuck in that, where they're paralyzed by that fear and they just can't take that step to get over it.
Yes.
And when you do, you didn't, maybe you experienced it just younger than I did with the umbrella, but once you do, then the world looks completely different.
Yes.
Then you can walk into a room where you don't know anybody and you can start up a conversation, and it's not horrible and it's not stressful, and it's fun. You get to meet people, and you broaden your horizons so much by that way. But I'm here to tell you, if you would have told me that I'd be teaching contract classes, so I have 6 of them coming up that it's that time of year.
Absolutely. 2022 contracts.
Right. I would have said, you're crazy. There's no way I'm going to be standing up in front of a group of people and talking. Are you nuts? But now I can't imagine not doing it.
Right. And Eric, like I said, when you walk into a room, even if people don't know you, they're in the corner whispering, who's that?
I didn't want
my purple shoes.
I can imagine.
So, no, I can't imagine. Steph, so what would you say would be because we've both shared like that moment that I think we figured out, I got to move forward. I got to do this. What was the moment for you?
I think, I came at a really early age. It wasn't with children. My thing was always like with adults. Okay. And and my godfather who raised me, he used to say the most negative things to me. And I remember from 4 or 5 years old and 6 years old. And I would always say to myself, I'm never going to be that person. I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to allow anybody to do things to me. Right. But I said, and then he said to me, as she could tell, that I had a very, not necessarily aggressive personality, but I definitely had an instinct about who I was at such an early age. Mm-hmm. Then he started telling me, only man's ever going to deal with you. He's going to have to beat on you. I'm like, no man's ever going to beat on me. Are you crazy?
Oh, Lord.
It's never going to happen. He would say all these weird, really. So it was like, I didn't really, with children, I mean, I guess I had some things, but that wasn't because I was dealing with that in the home. So I had to always make sure I was strong and not allow that negativity to feed into me, because I knew that I had a long way to go in this world.
Yes.
So so it was no doubt in my mind, who I was, and and going through the challenges of it all the time, because I was so young, knowing who I was and who I was not going to be.
Yeah.
I was going to be, successful in my life, which looks like many different things. But the main important thing was to be happy and to be able to serve and help people.
Well, and you have to be happy now.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. There's no time for you to wait and
Yes.
maybe I'll be happy next year or 5 years from now, or no.
Yes.
You have to do
now,
it
right, right. Exactly. Not when I get this or when I obtain this. You have to be happy. Now, I'm happy. I woke up this morning, had my oatmeal and blueberries. It's like it's beautiful. It was the best oatmeal and blueberries ever. You know.
Right.
So it's true.
And I will tell you that
Absolutely.
from my will practice, I see clients all day long that didn't think that they would be. These were supposed to be the years of their lives when they were finally going to be happy and fulfilled.
Yes.
And they can't, or it passed them by, or they're sick, or they're having problems with their family. I mean, you know what? Every day you should be as happy in every moment as you possibly can.
Right.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you.
Good times and bad.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter. You have to be there in that moment.
Yes.
Yes, you do. Because it's segments. Our life is segments, and you have to find. And when you're not happy, you know, they have those moments. Like you have to bring a thought, like what will bring the happiness back to you, you know, or do something that was going to bring that to you. You know, you cannot live in that, stay in that state. So, okay, this is like right now, I'm unhappy in this segment, but my next segment, you know, which could be 10 minutes from now, I'm going to bring the happy, because you just move through life so much better when you're a happy person. I can tell you, when I was pregnant with both my children, and I used to talk to them, you know, when they were in the womb, and I would always say, be happy. Just, I want you to be happy, because I knew that when your trials and tribulations would come, when you are happy, they don't take you down. They don't take you out. You find a way. You become resilient, because your base of who you are is happiness. And that's really important. And like a lot of people really just don't understand that, which is quite sad.
Well, it's not something we're taught. I was in a store the other day, and a lady said it was these three women talking, and it was in one of the thrift stores here in Peachtree City, Eric. And they were talking about how they had, you know, doing estate sales, because obviously their parents had passed away. And they were very bothered by the fact that their daughters and granddaughters and just the children did not want all of this china and the silver and and it's so funny, because I had recently had a conversation with my mom about the same thing. And I was talking to so I shared with one of the women, I said, I was, you know, sorry to be listening to your conversation. I said, but those are just not things that they don't show value to people in this day and time. I mean, you know, my grandmother, they grew up with putting plastic on furniture, and then you didn't sit on it. Like you bought the furniture, but you never sat on the furniture. You weren't even allowed. You weren't allowed in the room. You couldn't use the you know, the plates. You could, and so that's life is not designed to garner to like buy all these things, collect them, and then just dust them off. You got to live life, like you said, in the moment, because if not, you miss it and time goes by.
Whoa.
And like you said, how people wanted, you know, like you worked all these years. You wanted to buy that wonderful car that you always wanted to buy. And then you go, no, can't buy that car. I'm not going to buy that car. That just doesn't make good financial sense. And da. Okay, then children graduate and get rid of kids and and then, like you said, you finally buy the car and you die the next month.
Yeah,
literally. Well, guess what? Right, the people who you left behind, now they're driving the dang car, and they didn't work a day for it.
Exactly. So I know you see that a lot, Eric, with estate planning. A lot of that stuff goes on.
Well,
you know what I mean, I feel like, you know, even with my clothes, my stuff, you know, I have like, you know, I have furs. You know, I'm not trying to offend Peter, but, you know, people, oh, like, why are you wearing it? Because it's cold outside. It's made for the cold, and nobody's going to wear any of my stuff more than I do before I leave this earth. Okay, let's be clear.
Eric, well, I'm sure like you can say that about your wardrobe as well. What were you going to say?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Stephanie, when I'm going to circle back around. So when you were talking about, you have different segments in your life, in times where there is adversity or sadness, but the best way to come back to happiness is to get back to who you truly are. is when
Yes,
you get,
right.
the
Exactly.
sooner you get back to your true nature, you're going to wake up that next day and just be happy, because that's your natural state.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about
Yeah.
that.
Yes. And
Yeah.
if we take on that mindset, each and every day is a new day. And
It
and
is.
really
It really is.
that's the only way you survive. That's the only way. Resiliency is the building of your character, of your soul, of your spirit, to know that you will live another day and this moment will pass. So
Mhm.
I love that. That's very true. Happiness is important, and knowing oneself is the greatest gift I think we can give to ourselves, and living in your truth.
Well, and to others, because when you know yourself and you're being true to yourself,
Yes.
then you can do things for other people.
Yes,
It's true.
absolutely. I always,
Yeah,
my
you
prayer
become
is
a
always,
gift to them.
I want to be blessed so that I can be a blessing to others.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. That's my same
you
prayer.
got to share,
Definitely.
you got to share that joy and share the wealth.
That's right.
So,
That's very
Eric,
true. I'll tell you guys a funny story real quick.
yes.
So when we were, my family lives in Savannah, and we we have some people in the family, that have, quite a bit, of, money. And we were going to play a game. My cousin's like, well, I'll just put all the money. And I'm like, no, we're just going to collect money from people. In the game, you have to put, you put boxes on top of boxes inside of boxes. And then the last box has money in it. And it was like one of the people in the family has, what they have, and he would not contribute. And it was like, wow,
Isn't that amazing?
you just think, yeah, it's amazing. It's like, wow, just would not contribute at, like, oh no, I don't have any cash on me. I'm like, wow, okay, no problem. I mean, we still did it, but that's amazing. And you cannot, to hoard and to keep that for yourself, it's just not, it's not a good thing. It's very horrible.
Right.
We're here to share what we do.
I was going to say, if you're going through one of those segments where you're not happy or you're facing adversity and you're having trouble getting back to who you truly are,
Yes,
best way to do that is go out and do something nice for somebody else.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I defy you to do that and not instantly feel better.
You feel
Absolutely.
right. You feel good. You do.
Right.
It's true. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
You feel very good. Yes, you do.
Sacrifice and learning how to realize that you're not the only one going through something, but like you said, when you remove your kind of your self pity moment and don't dwell in it, and you go out and watch somebody, like on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day, when you at your home, it's abundant, you have family, you have a warm home, you have food, you have gifts. Go serve the homeless on those days, right? Or any given day of the week. You realize how blessed you are and how great your life really is, in spite of the challenges, because it does come with challenges.
Or even if you're not going to do that, something not so grand, go through a drive-through and just pay for the car behind you.
Amen. Yeah.
Yep.
Pay it forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
just
pay for the tolls behind me. Yeah, it's like a good feeling.
And just picture the look on that person's face when they pull up and they realize that
their food has been paid, or their order has been taken care of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I was in a Target line, and the lady, she didn't have her money. I'm like, I'll pay for it. And she was like, no, that's okay. I said, no, I got it for you. Not a problem, but she really, appreciated it. And I was happy that I was able to do that for her. That's important. We need a lot more of this in the world.
Yes, we do.
So Eric, we want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Iris, Stephanie, for having me. I really enjoyed it.
We enjoyed you.
We enjoyed having you.
Really appreciate you coming and sharing with us today.
Please let me do it again. I would love to.
Oh, would love to. And you can pick the topic if there's something else you'd love to talk about.
Yeah.
This was great.
Yeah, it's awesome. I really feel like it is important in what all that we have gone through in these last almost 2 years. We spend a lot of time talking in our circle, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't realize how much we could help other people if we just stepped outside of our circle and shared our authentic selves with people. Not what we do, not what, not what our degree says, just our authentic selves.
Right.
We can help
Yep.
somebody else find and help them discover their authentic selves as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And Eric, maybe
thank
next
so
time
much.
you come back with us, when you come back to visit us again, we'll tell you how this came about.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I would love to hear that actually.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
would.
Okay.
Yes, we'll definitely share that with you.
Fair enough. And then Iris, next time that you have me on,
Yes.
you just tell me what color you want me to wear, and I'll.
Hey, awesome. I shall.
It's going to be purple, Eric.
That's what I got on now.
It's going to be purple.
The color of royalty.
It is the color of
Exactly.
royalty. But
Yeah.
you both,
In fact,
if you don't know, you all have to
It's
understand.
my favorite color too.
My name is Iris. My father's name
Right.
is Iris. I'm born in the month of February. It
There you
just
go.
all kind of goes together, guys.
Well, and you can't see it because it's too far away, but
Absolutely.
my cufflinks today are crowns, purple crowns. because-
Oh, I love
Royalty.
that. I love that. Well,
Oh,
thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Love you
Eric,
guys.
would you like to love you too? You want to have any final words, or have you said all that you wanted to say?
No, this has been terrific. And
Awesome.
I hope that the people that watch this and listen to it, if they ever need anything, ever need to be inspired,
Yes.
that they reach out to you or to me.
Yes. Awesome.
Or
Thank
to
you so much,
Stephanie.
Eric. And to Stephanie.
And Steph.
You guys have
Thank you,
a
guys.
wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you,
You
Eric.
too.
Thanks, Steph.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Eric.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
honey bunny.
Bye.
Bye, honey.